Hi, everyone. I'm Sherri Danzig, and my company is called Choosing Vibrancy. I've been in the wellness world for well over 30 years as a massage therapist, as a wellness consultant, as a birth doula. I've done many different things in this field of wellness and have been more recently very intrigued with the mind body connection. I've been working with individuals and in groups in doing self care mentoring and mindset work. But I've loved this world of the whole idea of choosing vibrancy is about making a choice of the kind of life that you want and what you want in it. And no matter where you are today and listening to this, you can choose to continue to grow. So, this is all about personal empowerment and really loving yourself through self care. So, today we're talking about the falling in love with the art of failing. So, I'm going to jump in here and chat with you about that. So, I want to ask you first a question and think about this. So, because I want to take you on a journey. So, when was the last time you felt like you were a winner? It could have been playing tennis or another sport that you love, or maybe playing cards or Scrabble that you won big with your family or friends, or maybe it was a promotion that you got in the work you do. Whatever it was, we know that it feels really good to win. But now think about the last time you had a failure. Not as great of a feeling, right? I mean, just the word failure kind of has a vibration, a low vibration. It can actually feel like you just got punched in the gut, right, with that word, because there's so many things that are attached to it. We attach so much meaning to the word failure or failing. So think about this. We were just doing a movement. Winning is like, your arms are up, you're feeling energized, you're like, wide open. And failure, not so much. You're slumped down, you're feeling less than, you're kind of shrinking into yourself. So let's take an example because personally, I want to talk about sports because I love watching professional sports. And baseball, I'm obsessed with baseball, and particularly I'm obsessed with the Atlanta Braves. So think about, and by the way, they won the World Series in 2021. So I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but I think you can probably relate to this. And I'm gonna make this a baseball analogy. So think about it, if you're watching your team and they've just won, they're jumping around like a bunch of little boys, right? They're excited. Maybe somebody runs over and grabs the giant igloo thing and throws, Gatorade or cold water or something the on top of the person that just, hit it out of the park, kind of a thing. So they're celebrating, they're having a great time. But when the camera will always pan over to the team that is losing, it's what I said. I mean, they're staring out space. They're not looking very happy. Nobody's high-fiving, right? They're looking pretty pathetic. So thinking about that from that analogy, you'd say, well, winning is good and losing is bad. But is it? Let's think about that. So here's a big idea. In order to get everything that you want, to win really big at life, the things that you want, I'm not talking about just a new car or, a new pair of shoes. I'm talking about winning in a way that you feel like you're living your best life. In order to do that, you need to fall in love with the art of failing. That's what I want you to grasp here. So, how do you do that? Well, let me tell you how you do that. I have 3 steps for mastering the art of failing so that you literally fall in love with it. And you'll learn more as we go along of why this is so important. The first step to falling in love with failing is clarity. Clarity is where you have to start with everything. So think about this. If you aspired to be an Olympic ice skater, you might spend 10, 12 hours a day training on the ice. And you would probably wipe out a whole bunch while you were practicing your triple lux. In fact, I saw somebody did a quadruple lux the other day. I was watching a video. For me, long ago, I let go of the notion that I would ever be good at skating. In fact, I've gotten to the point now, if I even think about or put on skates, my feet and my legs get so tight that I get a cramp. So it's the last thing I'm going to do. I can't even get in a skating rink, whether it's rollerblades or an ice skate. It's not for me. It's not fun. It didn't inspire me. So for that, I'm not going to be a skater. I'm not going to be an Olympic skater. I'm not even going to be a regular skater, right? The art of failing means that you have clarity about what is so important to you that it's worth falling down over and over again so that you keep trying and working and mastering. So you don't, and when you fail to at something that you love to do, that you want to get mastery, you don't lose your inspiration because you love what you do. So it's really important to know that it's about having clarity about what it is that you really, really want. Now, having clarity about everything is super important. So even, well, especially when it comes to knowing what your core values are. And by core values, I'm talking about you can have lots of things. There could be a whole list of things that you really value. The core values are the things that are the most important. That if everything else had to disappear but this one thing, if you experience that most days, you would feel happy and like you had a good life. So that's what a core value is. And along with that, of having a core value is also creating a mission statement. A mission statement is an exercise to define the way you're going to live your life so that you express your values mostly. So I'm wondering, do you have a mission statement? Many people do, and they have, they've worked it out, they penned it, they word craft it, and at some workshop, and then they come home and they stick it in a drawer and they forget about it. So the point of having a mission statement is that it's something that you know so clearly you can recite it upon demand. In fact, I would like to say that it's something that you know as well as your address. And when your mission statement is that clear, it's a North Star for you. It can help you get back on track. So again, if you're failing a lot at something, but your mission statement is reminding you of the things that are most important, and I would imagine that the thing you're failing at is aligned with the thing that you really value, then it'll help you to remember that the stumbling, the falling down is really worth it. So my suggestion is that you either create a mission statement as an exercise, kind of homework after this talk, or if you have one, you pull it out, polish it up, make sure it still really excites you, because sometimes we've written mission statements from time ago and we need to tweak it a little bit. Because I do think that a mission statement can be a little bit fluid as we continue to grow, because I think personal development is something that is always so important. So, and think about it. If you would put it someplace where you would see it. So you've got a North Star, right? You've got something that's going to keep guiding you. Then you want to make sure it's someplace that you see it all the time. Because don't you want to be reminded about the thing that is most important to you? Of course you do. My mission statement, it pops up as a calendar alert on my phone throughout the day. So I get messages every hour or so. At one point, I had it coming in like every half an hour, and so that was the way that I could be reminded of it. And so now it is. I know it as well as I know my address. So my mission is to experience love and happiness, and to inspire other seekers to be empowered to live their best life. So that's my mission. So the first lesson of falling in love with the art of failing is clarity. The second tool to master is about self-compassion, because if you are failing a lot, then you have to be kind to yourself through that process, because we know that failing is really where you learn. And so being compassionate in this experience is super important. Think about a time when maybe there was something that you wanted really badly, and maybe you were thinking about setting it as something, making it a goal, stating it to someone, claiming it, but you were so afraid of failing that you really didn't go for it. Or you started out and then it fizzles. That's kind of true sometimes with um, New Year's resolutions, right? We set these goals, it's something we really want, and then life gets in the way and our habits change, and or maybe we didn't really change the habits as much as we needed to, and it fizzles away, and then we're not going after it. So in order to do this, you have to let go of the fear and the impatience. You have to forgive yourself for the stumbles and the mishaps. I know that is so true for me when it comes to um, my whole weight loss journey. I'll have a day where I might screw up, and I have to talk to myself and not be judgy and realize that, okay, I blew it, but I'm getting back on track. That's really what it takes to be successful. The triumph of winning is fun, but it's really about failing by learning by failing is really how we can grow. So keep that in mind, that it's success is not a straight line. In fact, I love the analogy of that we call it a learning curve, because the road to success is going to be curvy and bumpy. There's a book that I really particularly like. It's Angela Duckworth, who's the author, and she wrote a book called Grit. And I love, when I read this, it just made me so happy, because what she talks about with success is that talent and even IQ are not as significant as being focused and perseverant and having passion. So it's, again, this thing that whatever it is that you want to do, if you will stay with it and keep your passion, which isn't hard to do if it's something that you really want, right? That's more important, that you'll get there. So that the smartest people don't always win. I think it's the passionate people that win. I want to tell you a personal story about some of my journey to getting here. So I have three daughters. They're grown now, adult women, and they're fabulous, and they're living great lives. Back in the day, though, when they were little, so I'm a mother of three little girls, and I had my own massage practice. And I wanted to be, well, basically, I wanted to be superwoman. I wanted to be the best mom in the world, and I wanted to be super successful. I was an entrepreneur in my business, and this whole work-life balance thing was, well, it felt like a concept that I didn't really get. And so, honestly, a lot of the time I walked around feeling like a huge failure, because I felt like I couldn't keep up with everything, and it was just a lot of, well, I felt like I was on a hamster wheel a lot of the time. And I felt trapped. I felt like, I was a victim to the circumstances. I didn't know how to, I didn't couldn't see my way out of it. So, it was exhausting trying to please everybody. And how I used to define that is I would, stay up late at night. I was kind of naturally a night owl, because my mom kind of taught me that, she was a night owl. So I thought I was cheating time by staying up and doing more stuff and getting less sleep. And to that point, I oftentimes, most of the time, I went to the grocery store about midnight, every week when I went to the grocery store, because at that time they were open 24/7. So one night I had come back. I was tired, of course. I was running tired all the time. And I was driving my husband's car, which was a stick shift. And we have a very steep driveway. So I pulled up. It's like 1 in the morning. I pull up to the driveway. The garage door opener wasn't working. So I had to put the car, the brake on, and get out and manually open the garage with the keypad thing. I open the garage and I go to put my foot on the brake to go into the garage, but I wasn't used to driving this car, and I was tired, and I hit the clutch instead of the brake. And remember, I have a very steep driveway. So I went flying backwards down the driveway. It happened in seconds, but it was such a scary thing. And we live in a cul-de-sac. So my car jumped up on the curve, my across the cul-de-sac neighbor, hit the electrical box. This is in the middle of the night. And these huge flames came up, shut all the electricity down in the whole on the street. Not one, but two fire trucks showed up in my cul-de-sac. And neighbors are coming out to look at what's going on. And they're in their pajamas and they're staring at me. And you can say sometimes that you have to, when you make changes, like big changes, you have to have a wake up call. Mine was a crash and burn. That was my wake up call. So that really got me looking at how I was living my life and how pressured I felt to not fail, to not say, I can't do this. Like I literally was just saying yes to everything. And I didn't feel good about myself, but I was just caught in this rut. So it taught me to not lose my sense of humor, because eventually I could laugh at this whole thing after I got over the trauma of it all. But that and a few other things, and working with a coach, really helped me to start changing some things around. And that's when I started getting really interested in the whole mindset kind of a thing. And here's some of the things I learned. I learned that our brain is hardwired. So when we remember a failure from the past, we tell ourselves, "Oh, don't do that. Don't take that risk." We're kind of prisoners of our own thoughts, and most of our thoughts are negative. It's said that, unless you're really focused on it and you're being intentional, about 70% of maybe 50,000 thoughts a day are negative, which is terrible. It sounds awful. So, having self compassion, so you don't take yourself so seriously, so that you can remember that you're human and that all humans make mistakes. And actually, you're more relatable when you show that side of yourself, really helps a lot. So that was a big thing for me, to be able to share, when instead of saying yes to everything and driving myself crazy, I could start making a joke and telling people, no, I can't do that. Maybe I can do it in a month when I catch up on sleep, or whatever I used to say. But I really made a huge shift. Okay, so the first thing is clarity. The second is about self compassion. And the third tool to really embracing this whole idea of failing as you learn is about visualization. I love visualization. There's an art to it, so that you can shift your focus from negative, fearful thoughts to feeling expansive. Because when you visualize and you see what's possible, you're able to really see yourself in a position of being successful, of absolutely nailing it, whatever the it is that you wish to master. Because your subconscious does not know the difference between something you're imagining and the real thing, your subconscious really doesn't know. So you can start to retrain your subconscious and start stepping into that mastery. So you're helping yourself in that learning process of where you're failing, but you start not taking it so seriously. So you fail, you crash and burn, and you go back to your visualization, and then you remind yourself of where you're going and what is possible. So that is really such an important part here. In fact, if you think about it, anything that's been created or invented started with a visual. An architect cannot build a giant skyscraper without having a blueprint. They have to imagine it first. I mean, just look around your space right now, and there's nothing that has appeared without having something that someone thought about first. So it's about really having that image of it, and then you create it. So I think a lot of times when you're being an entrepreneur and you're thinking about something big, and if it's not being an entrepreneur, it's having a big goal. Maybe it's about changing your financial security, your financial picture. And a lot of times what people will say is, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, yeah, I'd like to have these things, but I'll believe it when I see it. That is the opposite of how you're going to get there. You can't wait until you see it for most things. Every once in a while, there's an exception. But for the most part, you have to see it first, and then it will appear. So you have to believe it, and then you'll see it, not the other way around. So, how do you have different visualizations? Well, you can sit and meditate and speak it. You can create a vision board, which is fabulous to visualize. And I like the mindset self talk. I think self talk is one of those things that is incredibly important and incredibly valuable. So I'm a big believer in affirmations, and my favorite affirmation are I am statements. When you say I am and something follows that, that is a powerful message to your subconscious. And you can I am yourself. I use that as a verb. In a moment's time when you're starting to feel scared about something, you can simply, and I like to have a list of I am statements. I've been doing it now for so long. The list is in my head. I don't even have to read a list anymore. But if you're new at affirmations, you can create a list of I am statements, such as I am lovable, I am funny, I am a great speaker, I am beautiful, I am lean, I am vibrant, and on and on and on. So they have to be obviously positive things that you're saying, but those I am statements will really create this whole um, a shift in your energy very, very quickly. So what I want to do is I want to go through a practice with you, and I want to see if I can get you kind of a speed exercise of this whole art of failing. Because again, the art of failing is about understanding that the more you fail, the more you learn, the more you move closer to what it is that you want. I hope you're getting that. It's about turning that word around so that failing is a good thing. It's changing that energy around the word. So, what I want to have you do is I want you to think about right now. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about something that you really, really want, something you've really wanted to go for, something that is not so easy. Not Don't pick something that's low hanging fruit, but something that feels really big. And it has to be so big that falling down, experiencing failure, maybe experiencing embarrassment or, all the growth process, that it's worth the prize at the end, because there's such a success. There's such a connection to having that success because it's something you desire. So again, clarity is where it comes first, to really understand, to really embrace what is it that you want? What is something that you would really want to set for yourself? And sometimes it requires us to have a little faith that this is something that maybe you had wanted from years ago, but then you kind of pushed it away and thought, no, I can't have that. So that's the first thing, is to um, get really clear what it is. Okay. And I'll give you an example, because years ago, I was so afraid of speaking, just like this over Zoom or with in a crowd before COVID, when everything was in person. I mean, my knees would knock, my hands would shake. I was a very, very nervous speaker. And so I started thinking about how to take care of that. And what I did as a shift is I started the learning process, is I enrolled in a class. It was a year-long class that helped to teach me about speaking and really got me in that mindset of speaking. One of the things I did is I created a vision board where I had pictures. I cut out pictures of women who were speaking, and I picked the pictures of women that I could relate to, where they looked like they were, their body language was, they were being very passionate and excited, and they felt like they were certainly confident. So I looked at that, and before I would speak, I would actually go in front of my vision board and I would mimic all of that body language. So I'd get myself, not only my mind, but my body too, in this whole mindset of being a speaker. So think about that. So I want you to think um, what it is that you really, really want. And then I want you to think about what the fear is. What's the fear that's holding you back? Because if you don't unravel that, the fear is going to pop up. It might feel okay in a moment when we're talking about it, but when it's you and you, that fear can come up. So I think you have to unravel, what is the biggest fear. For me, speaking, it was that I would get to a point in the talk and I would completely freeze up and I couldn't remember what to say. And I would just stand there like, you know, didn't know what to say. And so the way I unraveled that for me, as I thought about that, and I thought, okay, how would I get out of that? Because that could happen. I could literally hit a roadblock. And I thought, maybe it'll be being authentic and say, you know what? I just forgot my train of thought. Give me a minute. And it would just, be something where I could kind of make a joke or something. And then What I learned about speaking was it was not so much this audience, but it's about connecting with people. So I broke it down so that that fear, instead of it being this giant thing that I would be afraid of and failing and being an embarrassment to myself, that it was really about connecting. And when I got on that point, that level, the connecting part, then I could move through it. And then the fear didn't have such a power for me anymore. I felt like no matter what, I was going to be able to connect. I was going to get through it. And you know what? That happened. And then the next step was that I started writing affirmations and I am statements. So that's what I want you to do as well. I want you to know what success feels like. I want you to visualize it so that you know what it looks like, what it feels like, how will your life be different because of it. Sometimes it's about imagining the smell or the taste that will be there. I'm very tactile. I love to eat. So taste is part of it, of something that you desire. So it's about when you visualize, by the way, you flood your brain with so much positivity that the negative thoughts have to quiet down. So there's a real power in visualization. So before we go into the exercise, I just want to say, I know that when you get down to it, if you're not dealing with the surface of things, it's not easy and you will fail. You will have missteps and get off course from time to time. But I will tell you that because of my own experience and others that I've worked with, you can take this one to the bank. When you get clear and you have clarity about what it is that you really, really want, and you give yourself the gift of compassion, of self-compassion, and you use visualization, you will master the art of failing and you will fail your way to the top of the best, biggest, boldest life that you can imagine. And share. I don't know how you feel about that. If you want to share what it is that's a desire. Okay, so here's the exercise that I want to ask you to do. And I hope, first of all, that you'll take it very seriously in a serious, playful way, not so, stern, but put the importance here and, put the time in. The first step rather, is to find a place where you can do it. Maybe you have an obvious place in your office. Maybe you don't have, maybe your office is at the dining room table or it's cluttered or there's people, in and out. So you want to find where you can have some quiet spot. And sometimes I do my best writing and visualization and all of this in the car, because it's sometimes when if you're in a situation where you've got a lot of people in your home, then sometimes being in the car is the time when you're by yourself. So find a place that feels safe and cozy, wherever that is. Could be in nature. And write, journal without any judgment. Just write to get really clear about something that you really want, something that you have put off, that you've told yourself, you've self-talked yourself out of it, which is always about fear. So that's the first step, is to get really clear about what you want. The second thing is to really explore, what is the fear? What's the fear of not getting it? What's the fear of going for it? You have to really push through this fear, and the only way you'll push through it is to get clear about it. The next step then is, and along with that, is to be self compassion. So the compassion part is to then start writing affirmations about encouraging yourself. In other words, if you could script how you would want everyone around you to talk about you, to encourage you about this very clear goal, what would they say? And then you're going to say that to yourself. And then the last part of it is to start visualizing. And that's something you can do. I have clients that have said, I'm too busy. I don't have any extra time when they first start talking to me. It's like every minute of the day, right? Well, every time you go to the bathroom, you could have a little card and you could have your I am statements. You can say them after a while. You don't have to read them anymore. You'll just know them and say your affirmations. Have it stuck in the bathroom, where you keep the toilet paper, so you can pull it out when you're in the bathroom and read your I am statements, your affirmations, and so that you can remind yourself throughout the day. So, and when you visualize, you can close your eyes for a moment have a soft smile, and think about that thing and what it will feel like, taste like, smell, all of the senses of you realizing this goal. So I hope you will really enjoy this exercise. I think it's simple and yet and can be hard, to get there, to really get clear about what it is that you want. Um, so again, I'm Sherri Danzig. My website is choosingvibrancy.com. My email address, if you'd like to connect with me, is my name. So it's Sherri@sherridanzig.com. If you simply go to my Choosing Vibrancy site, you'll find me. You can reach out to me. I have a self-care quiz on there because I'm all about self-care. And if you reach out to me either through my website and take the self-care quiz, you can then request a one-on-one consult with me. I'd love to have that. It's a gift to you. So reach out and we'll have a conversation about self-care. We'll talk about a goal, whatever it is that you want. We'll make it unique. So I'd love to give you some time to connect if you'd like.